Sup nerds, I'm Tom, Gen 7, let's do it. If you don't know, Gen 7 is a very story-based campaign type of game. So you have all these envelopes that you can open up and, you reveal new things along the story. It's played over about 7 games. The reason why I say about is because some games kind of last a little bit longer than others, or at least they feel longer than others. So, to say it's a 7 games is, for me almost feels a little disingenuous. But, so it's not legacy, you aren't ripping anything up or writing on things and putting stickers down, and it is, resettable. So you can put everything back into the envelopes and close them up very gingerly and, start the campaign over again. And, again, I'm going to do my best not to do spoilers, so there's not going to be too many things I can talk about here. But obviously, if you clicked on a video like this, there's probably going to be some things that maybe I'll bring up that could even potentially be considered spoilers. So I guess here's your spoiler warning or whatever. But the storybook is actually kind of almost like a choose-your-own-adventure, because I think if you go to reset the campaign again, you're really not going to run into, unless you make the exact same choices, you're really not going to run into the exact same story. There will be envelopes that you didn't open up in the first time around that you will open up and, things like that. But as for the type of game, it's really like a co-op dice worker placement where you roll these dice, those are your workers, there's all these spots on the board where you can place your workers. Sometimes we have to place workers together to try and complete little, bad things that come up, that say, okay, we need this die and this die to be less than, this die and this die added together need to be less than this die right here, and we all come together and place those dice. We gather resources from the different areas in different ways and spend those on these cards and things. We also have little hidden goals in our hand because we could move up on this track here and gain merit points, so we can get rankings and get little stars to get little tiny advancement cards that give us little bonuses. There's other cards down here that we can get that give us special abilities. We can get more workers and stuff. All that while we're worrying about the story. There's usually a story goal that we have to do in addition to all the other goals. I think that's probably the most I'm going to say about the game in terms of how it functions and stuff, because and there are Crossroads cards. This is a Crossroads game. If you've played Dead of Winter, there are Crossroads cards in here. And because it's a campaign, you're adding more cards to these decks as you go along, and you have a whole file of cards that tell you where to go and look and pull out more cards to add them to the decks. That the Crossroads cards do kind of hold a little bit more weight in this than it says in Dead of Winter. Kind of Dead of Winter was more just kind of flavory, and there were some game effects, but it was just do nothing or get 8 resources. And you're like, oh, I'm gonna get the resources. We're gonna kill the horse and get the food or whatever in Dead of Winter. And here it's a bit more, it feels a bit more tied into the story a little bit. And I will say that I actually kind of was having fun at first. The very first round, I was like, ooh, this is very interesting. The fact that it's co-op worker placement, but we have these dice. It's kind of crunchy, kind of mathy, just doing a lot of just looking out at everybody's dice. And, you do kind of have to think of your turn and a couple other turns ahead of time, because well, if I'm going to put my die here, then you're going to put yours there. Well, then we don't have a 2 for this. We need, your robot can be split in half. Maybe we could put that there. Are you okay to put your robot there? And secretly, you don't want to put your robot there because you want to use your robot for this thing over here because you have this little objective here or this little gold card. Or you don't want to use your resource because you want to use your resource for your gold card thing. So the first game was cool. I have to admit, though, after that, it got old pretty fast. It's surprising how it went from being oh wow, this is pretty fun, to pretty mediocre, and some points a little bit negative. It's just you're advancing in the story, and the story is really cool, I will admit. And I was trying to get some of the other people. You have this big, huge book right here, this big spiral notebook, and you actually have this cool little bookmark thing to keep your place, and I like that. And I will admit that I was liking the story. I was trying to get into it, trying to get my friends into it. Oh guys, should we trust this person or not? What in this example, what should we do? Because this is what's I'm thinking this, but and I was liking it, and I even flipped through the book a good bit, and because again, there are other things in the story to see where we could have gone, and things could have been worse or things could have been better. But the fact that it's already kind of a lot going on. At first you're well, it's not that much. But, it's almost like you're trying to trick yourself into being it's not that much, come on. When really it kind of is, And then you just keep adding more. and it just gets like harder and more difficult, and it just feels like grindier. You know what I mean? Like, and a big part of it for me is I think I'm just starting to get over this whole legacy or campaign craze. Like the cool, opening up a thing, an envelope and seeing what I get. I don't know, that magic's kind of gone for me. I'm just like, okay, let's do that. And some of the things are pretty lame. Sometimes you open something up, you go, oh, okay. You know? If you've played before, you might know which ones I'm talking about here. Now, granted, it almost feels bad for me to say that because one of my favorite games is Descent. And Descent is almost best played as a campaign, where you have a lot of different weapons and you really care about winning this quest so you can get more gold to move on. So I feel almost like a hypocrite saying that. But what Descent does that this game really couldn't do is you could still definitely just flip through the campaign book, pick a scenario, boom, do it, play that. Said everybody starts with 5,000 gold, not 5,000, like, 500 gold, and, have a better character to start equipped and then get out there. And here, I don't know if you could, maybe you could do that. You could open up a couple envelopes and put out some of the modules and really want to get at it. But, I would never do that. I'm definitely not going to play this campaign again. Some of the stuff actually isn't even reset. I didn't put it back into the bags. And I'm not saying that I had a terrible time. I would see this as like a 4.5 out of 10 type of thing. I know we don't normally give numbers, but one of my friends was like, he literally goes, I don't ever want to hear Gen 7 again. I don't want you to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. I was like, oh, okay, sorry. But now maybe that type of thing is your thing. You're like, no, I love that and I'm feeding for it. We already played through we played through Charterstone and Pandemic Legacy and Risk Legacy and Seafall. We want more of that. Okay. The mechanics of the gameplay are what they are. Again, I think you'll be excited at first. You're like, ooh, this is pretty cool. And then after a while, you're like, ooh, this is just math. And kind of, it feels like doing homework and reading a spreadsheet. The component quality is pretty good. These are good, nice dice, nice cardboard chits. And obviously I've opened all this up and everything is equal quality in there. The rules are, again, you'll get it after a while. It feels a little clunky at first, but you will get it. We actually got into like game 3 when we realized we were making one small rules goof, but I think that was pretty much our fault because things are printed pretty much everywhere. It's just, there's a lot of things everywhere because you actually start adding new rules cards. Rules cards get added out here, so you have all this wall of text, and then you're constantly reading all this text out to people. I don't know. Again, there may be some people out there who will really like this. It just wasn't me. I know it's always difficult to recommend you purchase a game right after I just said I didn't really love it, but hey, we always have a purchase link to these games in the description box down below. You can go ahead and get yourself a copy, and hey, while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored. I know it's always weird to recommend you purchase a game. I know it's always